Hey, this is Jeff with another Fallout trivia video, and this one's a little bit different. I'm playing Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition on an Xbox 360 because I've recently heard a couple of people imply that what I'm about to show you shouldn't be possible, and this way you know I can't be using any mods or console commands or otherwise cheating. I'm at the Mojave Outpost, and I'm going to fast travel to Crescent Canyon West. It's perfectly fine to walk there, it's just easier for me to find if I start from a fixed reference point. I came here earlier to kill these geckos, so I wouldn't have to deal with them when I started recording. And right up the hill from the fast travel marker, we're looking for a spot with a Joshua tree and a pile of dirt up against the cliff. Right there. So we're going to climb up that. It's not overly difficult, just keep mashing the jump button. And again. And now we're on the south rim of the canyon. Come on. Yeah, there you can see pretty much the whole canyon, which comes out somewhere in the neighborhood of the drive-in theater near Nipton, I think. So, other than seeing a prominent landmark from a new perspective, why would you do this? Well, at this point you can keep walking south forever, right off the edge of the world map. I think that's interesting because you might have heard me complain about the rampant abuse of invisible walls in New Vegas. There are dozens of places where the game designers use them, and it's unnecessary and annoying. But here's a place where it probably would have made sense, but they didn't. If you believe turnabout is fair play and you have a lot of patience, you can exploit this to your advantage in the game. I'm heading directly southeast as much as the terrain will allow because if you jump in the river at Cottonwood Cove and swim south, you eventually run into a net across the river that prevents you from going any further. The river and the canyon extend well beyond the edge of the world map, just to give you a sense of scale when you're up against the net looking downriver. However, somewhere beyond where they bend out of sight, they just stop. And I'm going to find that spot, loop around the end of the river, and head back north, which will eventually bring us to the top of the cliffs on the east side of the river. It actually takes about 20 minutes in real time to walk to the end of the river, and another 15 or so to get back onto the world map. And I'm kind of running out of relevant things to say, so when I edit this, I'll probably fast forward until something interesting happens. Okay. I notice a lot of texture glitching out here. I'm not 100% sure why, but I think it has something to do with the way the game manages its resources. There are two sets of models and textures for the raw landscape and any large objects you might see from a distance. There's a detailed set for when you're within a certain radius up close, and an ultra-low-res version for when you're far away, so the game doesn't waste graphics memory loading up the detailed version of everything that you can see out to infinity. If you've ever noticed a billboard or some other big object in the middle distance suddenly switch from being blurry to being clear, that's because you just crossed the threshold where the game loads the detailed version. So I'm guessing that the texture glitching out here is because, ordinarily you'd only ever see the mountains out here from an extreme distance, like if you're looking at the horizon from the intended playable area of the world map. So there was no reason to make the transition smooth when you get close to them, when you're out here in the void. I'm just gonna check the Pip-Boy map. Yeah. You can see we're way off the map to the south, but we're not far enough east yet. So, keep going. Oh, that's interesting. The Fallout games are set in an alternate future, and apparently in this universe, the Earth is flat, and you can fall off the edge if you go too far. And I probably do not want to do that. Cool. Okay, we're getting closer. North looks a lot easier, but I don't think we're far enough east yet. If I go that way, we'll, end up on the west side of the river. We'll just have to backtrack, come back this way anyway, so more cliff hugging it is. Okay, yeah, there's the river. And it looks like it should be pretty easy to walk around the end of it from here. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing that we didn't go the other way around the mountain. You can really see the texture glitching out here. We're on the far side of the mountains from the normally playable world map, so there's no way to see any of this from back there, so I guess it doesn't make any difference what it looks like. Or wouldn't ordinarily make any difference what it looks like. And that is the end of the canyon. Take a look in there to see. Don't want to fall in. Yep. How cool would it be if the river didn't end here, but it actually went all the way to Colorado? Well, I mean, it wouldn't be that cool because then this would be that much more tedious, but it has to end somewhere. Although, it could have gone all the way out to that literal edge of the world, and then there'd be no way to get around it. Anyway, we look up the river. Around that bend, the river turns north, and that bend is the farthest point you can see if you swim to the net at the edge of the map south of Cottonwood Cove. So we are just about ready to head back north. Actually northwest, because I think we're really off the, we're off the edge of the world map both south and east now, so we probably need to head northwest to get back to the area of Cottonwood Cove, but on this side of the river. Ah, there we have actual cliff objects. Everything out in the void is just raw landscape, the contours of the floor of the game world, if you will. Cliffs and rocks and buildings and everything else are separate objects. So when we see those, we must be almost back to the normally playable area of the map. And we want to be kind of careful when approaching any of these, because you're only ever supposed to see it from the other side. So this side has all kinds of nooks and crannies that you can fall into and have no way to get out of except to fast travel, which would be pretty disappointing after getting this far. Or if I just fall off the cliff into the river. And I think that's Cottonwood Cove. We're just too far away to see the buildings. Yeah. Yeah, we're back on the playable part of the map, even though there's no way to get where we are from down there. So I'm actually going to swing back east a little bit just to avoid getting stuck in any of those nooks and crannies on the backside of these cliffs. Yeah, you can see there a hole. Oh, yeah, there's a perfect example of what I mean. A lot of the cliff objects aren't even full 360-degree models. They're backless and hollow because they're intended to be used as impassable barriers, like at the boundary of the playable area. So there's not supposed to be any way to ever see the back of them. And I do not want to get stuck inside of one. Yeah. It's actually a good bit safer to... Well, I say it's safer just to walk on the raw landscape, but if I walk down something that's too steep to walk back up, it would have the same net effect as getting stuck if I couldn't get back to where I need to be. And I think at this point we're probably, yeah, just about directly across from the Legion camp. And the first actually useful thing about doing this is still a bit north of here. Should be pretty close. Yep, here we go. From up here, we can see down into the Deathclaw Promontory. And apparently it's still technically night, so my scope is still in night vision mode. So there's the first genuinely useful thing about being up here. If you're very patient and careful about not getting stuck between the rocks and you have plenty of ammo, you can pretty much clear the place out with minimal risk. Now, you might say this is a cheat or an exploit, and technically I suppose it is, but here's how I look at it. New Vegas has a reputation for being one of the best examples of a game that gives you a lot of choice in how you complete quests and solve problems, depending on whether you're a tank or a stealth character or just a smooth talker or whatever. And I think that reputation is mostly deserved, except there are places where the game designers use invisible walls to force you to do things a certain way or in a certain order that makes the experience more linear than it needs to be. And doing this feels to me like justifiable payback for that. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to take all day and kill them all, because there's at least one other useful thing you can do from up here. That, I believe, is the road that leads from the dam to the Legate's camp. And there's an invisible wall here, so I can't get down. Well, it's probably so you can't get up here from down there. Classic example of what I was talking about earlier. So many ways to do things through most of the game, but then you get to the final battle and it's like, oh, you're a stealth character with a sniper rifle? Too bad. You're going in the front gate, full frontal assault, whether you like it or not. Yeah, there's the dam, so this must be it. I don't remember if you actually play on this section of the road or not. I'm kind of thinking that when you activate the first gate right there, it teleports you to the Legate's camp, but I'm not 100% sure about that. No, assuming I'm even really where I think I am. Let's take a look at the map. Yeah, there's the fort. Lake Mead. Obviously, I don't have a map marker for the Legate's camp because you don't go there until the end game. And that's the dam, so yes, I am where I think I am. Which means that the top of the dam is right around this corner. Actually, I only set the VidCap gadget to record for an hour, and it's about to run out, so I'm going to drop a save, call it a day, and see if I can find the Legate's camp next time. See you then.